A bit about yesterday's podcast, people. See how they build upon each day, one builds upon the other? It's estimated by the FBI, if you choose to believe that agency anymore, that 460,000 children go missing each year. That's 1,260 per day. Unless you've been living under a rock, what happens to far too many of them has become a national nightmare. The sex slave trade and victims' blood rituals of satanic ritual abuse, pedophilia, sacrificial, harvesting children's organs. Boy, that's profitable. And then there is adrenochrome, the harvesting of the blood of very young, tortured victims, preferably male. I wonder why that is. Heartless women, I guess. It turns out that the CPS, Child Protection Services, seems to be one of the least safe places for children. Can you say trafficking? Concerning yesterday's podcast, imagine searching for a missing child in a sea of face masks. That would make things difficult. In fact, it would make it a real bitch. And what's up with all these drag queen story hours for young children? Then there are the 70+ million children slaughtered through aborticide. I guess a total optimist would tell you it's not all bad. Fetal cell lines, you know. Medical research so boomers can live longer lives. Messenger RNA injectables, and food and beverage flavor enhancers. Far safer than monosodium glutamate, better known as MSG. I'd be remiss as a humble messenger if I didn't point out scriptures. The Bible has much to say about children. All good, except for any that abuse and use them. Now here's a quote from one of the usual suspects. "We'll get you through your children," unquote. From the 1960s radical Allen Ginsberg. Ginsberg favors the guns and plus P part of the liquor, guns, bacon, tits movement. People, if you believe, God bless the USA, that any politician will ever be able to make America great, a nation that has bombed and starved millions of children worldwide, a nation that supports a country, somewhere in the Middle East, I dare not mention it, that kills thousands of children and their mothers. Sniper targets, they call them. Some even wear t-shirts that claim if one's pregnant, it's 2 for 1. Now tell me again how God is blessing America. Because if you try to, you are in serious denial. America is an invaded and occupied country. Come on, wake up. Have you seen the southern border? Do we even have a southern border? Now, I only mention this, really, the only reason I mention this is so you don't get all the deer in the headlights syndrome. As things progressively get worse, much worse. We're in World War III, and the Rainbow Forces aren't going to win this one. In fact, do not be surprised if your own military turns on you. Well, gee whiz, Dave, that's a pretty disgusting and depressing intro in today's podcast. No doubt about it. But if you want something smooth, something to tickle your ears, it's Sunday, people. Get your ass up out of bed, scrub the crud off your face, and go to church. That's their job. Not me, and not never. Not up on this wall or down at level 7. And besides that, guess what? I'm just getting started on Sunday, the 18th of December, 2022. Not much in the big picture happens by accident. Oh, sure, a plane can develop engine trouble and fall out of the sky. Impaired drivers can crash their vehicles. But in the big picture, and that's what we're talking about, people, is the big picture. The real battle between Team Good and Team Evil that has raged for centuries. Nothing happens by accident. If it happened, you can bet it was planned to happen. It's humorous in a way. There really are only 2 theories concerning cause and effect. Accidental theory or conspiracy theory. Hey, by the way, as a side note, as a fun fact, the term conspiracy theory really entered our language only after the JFK assassination, when some Americans, not enough, but some, started waking up. They weren't buying the Warren Commission's narrative. The Warren Commission's bullshit. The lone gunman and his magic bullet crap. Alright, anyway, back to cases. Let's now visit the wizard. Which wizard? Come on, people. The wonderful Wizard of Oz. I remember it well. Back in the day, back when I was a kid, Murderapolis, before cable, only had 5 or 6 broadcast stations. And every year around Thanksgiving, some network would show The Wizard of Oz. It was an annual treat. Trust me on that. Now, written in 1900 by L. Frank Baum, B-A-U-M, It was marketed as a children's fantasy novel. But was it a child's fantasy novel? Was Mr. Baum really writing and warning the adults of his era? It was turned into the movie classic in 1939. And I think I mentioned this before, that the movie adaptation of the book was pretty accurate. One exception is Emerald City. In the movie it was green. In the book the citizens were forced to wear green glasses. The lenses, not the frame. Come on. Okay, so let's unpack. Let's take apart The Wizard of Oz. Right off the get-go, Oz. Now what is that an abbreviation of? OZ. Well, ounces. Many things are weighed in ounces, including gold. In 1900, gold in coin form was still being used as the money, but it wouldn't be any longer. Very soon, like in 13 short years, the attack on gold and silver as the money would start. Now, what is the Yellow Brick Road? Bricks are ingots of gold. Who is the first character Dorothy ran into? The straw man. Your straw man. The paper legal fiction this government created off of our birth certificate by capitalizing all the letters of our birth given name. Look at your papers, comrades. Credit cards, driver's license, court documents, summons and subpoenas, all capital letters. Hell, I learned in first or second grade not to print in all capitals. And isn't it aggravating as F when people post comments online in all capitals? Quit shouting at me. Now keep in mind, people, this is just one of at least a three-parter. Some issues I raised today might sound a little strange at first for now, but be patient. Patience is such a virtue. So anyway, the first character Dorothy meets is your straw man. In legal mumbo-jumbo, you were found dead at sea, subject to maritime law, admiralty law, far different than the law of the land. And you become salvageable, in fact, valuable cargo, even though you're dead at sea in the eyes of the courts. Now, what did the straw man want from the wizard? A brain. And why did he want a brain? Because no juristic person, legal fiction, or paper corporation has a brain. Because they don't have the breath of life in them. Remember? Dead at sea. Next, Dorothy and the straw man come across the Tin Man. Now, what does the acronym TIN, T-I-N, stand for? Well, people, have you ever heard Taxpayer Identification Number? The Tin Man represented the soulless and heartless working stiff. Yep, Joe Sixpack, one of the vast majority of Americans who bought into the government work plan, laboring on the plantation for the masters, or after you graduate from the public brain laundry, think public schools, people, think 10th plank of the Communist Manifesto for education for all in government schools. You get a job. You work yourself to death in the 45-year plan, hoping to retire before you expire, but many don't make it to retirement, or die shortly thereafter. Accidental, I'm sure. The Tin Man wanted a heart-slant soul. He didn't want to be the ox pulling the plow and the mule toiling under the yoke, creating for, but never really enjoying, the life he makes for the plantation masters. The Tin Man's taskmasters keep him well-oiled with alcohol and amused by the television boob tube. His mind is endlessly occupied by amusements. Hey, did the Vikings pull it out yesterday? You'll hear the Tin Man say very often. Now his masters keep him cold on the outside and heartless on the inside. In order to control any emotional feelings that might arise, and heaven forbid, if the Tin Man were to start thinking. God can't have that, can they? Okay, people, I'll tell you what. Those people that are old now today that have made it to retirement, that haven't expired before they retired, there's a common denominator in the vast majority of them. They worked hard. But you know what? They're not dead, but they're dead broke. It's kind of tragic if you think about it. No, there's no doubt in my military mind that they worked hard. Okay, well, guess what? Part 2 tomorrow, and, yep, I got stuff to do.